What's going on, everybody? My name is Anthony Sabatino, the CEO and founder of ASPF Solutions. We're here in New York City shooting vlog number 7. The real premise of this vlog is to explain all of the crazy things that have happened since vlog 6, and trust me, there's been a lot of them, so let's get into the vlog.
Had to go against the grain to do my own thing. Took a shot in the dark to make my own lane. I think that I'm better go my own way, so I didn't. Now I'm on my own, yeah, I'm on my way. Keep my head up till I find my place. Yeah, I'm on my way, every day I'm getting close. Had to do my own thing now. I know that I'ma make it to the top. Wake up and grind, I don't think I'll ever stop. Cause I made...
Yeah, so basically what happened was I had lost my Instagram. I got hacked and taken down. And what was so interesting was I got an email from a random email that I had never seen, never met before. I had no idea where it was coming from. And the email basically started with, "Hey bro, I got paid by my client to take down your page and name me a price point and we'll get it back." And obviously I couldn't trust him to get it back. I couldn't trust anything that he had any validity to do that for me. So I didn't respond. And that day, that very second, I couldn't sign into my Instagram. The username was completely locked. The account itself was disabled. So literally in a blink of an eye, I lost 50,000 followers. For sure the biggest pillar of my brand and my biggest reach platform that I had, through social media. And just like that, it was gone. And so what was so interesting about that is over the next maybe 75 days, a little bit over a month and a half, almost 2 months, I had completely accepted it was gone. And then out of nowhere, one morning about 9 a.m., I get an email from Instagram, specifically from Instagram, and it said, "Hey, your Instagram account was disabled by accident and now everything should be all good and everything's all kosher now." So I go back to my Instagram account and I look and everything's back to, I think I had lost a couple thousand followers just from lack of engagement and lack of posting, but I was back to about 48,000 followers just like that. And so that taught me a lot, and I'm really, really excited to kind of go into the deep dive of that and what that really looks like. So the first big lesson that I've learned a lot, but the big lesson that I learned in this interim period when I lost the account was that the content that I was putting in and the ideology that I was standing on producing for everyone was completely romanticized, which I really preach a lot, and it's funny to kind of get served a dose of my own medicine having this been the case. So my point being, I was putting myself in a position where every piece of content I was putting on a pedestal. Meanwhile, the content should be viewed as valid and is as balanced as it is as a piece of content, knowing that it is the oxygen of a market, of a brand. The thing that I was doing, I think, because my following was getting larger and larger by the week, and my brand was genuinely growing and the engagement was growing and things were actually going extremely positive on the brand building side, specifically on Instagram, I think I allowed myself to fall into that trap of romanticizing every piece of content. So it put me in this place of, not really understanding the value of each content and just feeling like I had to push everything out for everybody else and not really reverse engineering what each piece of content was supposed to do with a high level strategy behind it. It had that innately inbred in it, but I think what I was doing in real time was the opposite. So the real lesson I learned from literally having that all taken away from me, like just taking the rug out under me, was I needed to stop romanticizing the content and start putting out content that had real intention every single time. I would say that's the biggest lesson I learned. Okay, vlog. So I wanted to talk straight to the camera here and really get across one specific point. And this point I've known in many different varieties of business and many different genres of, basically operating a business. But it basically goes like this, in the sense that speed to innovation is so crucial and that maintenance is a myth. And if there's one thing that this situation taught me of losing my biggest platform of where my brand was going, was that it told me in pure just language saying, hey, you need to stop maintaining what you're doing. And granted, what I was doing was actually working. There was genuine growth. But the lesson that was ingrained in this whole scenario was that if I'm in a place right now where I'm maintaining any other part of my business because of another part of my business doing well, that right there is how you know that maintenance is a myth, because it's going to take something as drastic as this, of what happened to me, of losing my biggest format of my brand, to make me realize that. And so if there's one thing I really wanted to get across here to you, if there's one thing I can get across in this vlog right now, it's if you're going through something and you're operating a business where you feel like you're maintaining any genre of that business, any part of that business, remember to check that and audit that. So I think one of the things that I really feel like you could pick up from this, from the experience that I went through, was when you are providing a service. So for example, for a little context and framework, for the past 2 years, ASPF Solutions was a full-blown consulting company. We had a full team. I was doing consulting. We had other people under the umbrella, and we helped a lot of clients do a lot of things. And the strategy that we help people do with brand building was truly amazing, and it's still actually, it really is. The cool part of what happened, and one of the lessons that I also learned from losing my Instagram and really evolving and reprioritizing everything, was that I realized over the past 2 years we had a gap in our offering that we didn't yet solve until right now, mainly because as the visionary of the whole process, I wasn't able to see it with such clarity that was necessary. And so what that gap was beyond the consulting. You know, we've worked with some pretty big companies now. We really stick with the small businesses, but we've worked with some pretty good ones too. And the idea there is that beyond the consulting, they still wanted it done for them, right? We can provide all of the framework, we can give you every single bullet point, everything at all, and still a lot of companies still need it done for them, whether they don't have the team to do it on their end or whatever the case is, doesn't matter the reason, or they just don't have the time. So once this happened, once I, kind of didn't have this humongous funnel through Instagram, I realized that, okay, maybe there's something that I could do. I can make a pivot here that would not put me in a place of just maintenance over the next however many months, because at this point, remember, I had just accepted that I lost it, right? So my biggest brand was basically lost. So I had to really figure things out in the interim, because I didn't know how long the interim period was gonna last. So what we decided to do was to fill the gap that we had the entire time without really realizing it, which was beyond the consulting, let's have a done-for-you service where we can take all of our experience, every skill that we've ever had that works so well in a consulting fashion, and let's do it for them. Let's create all their content. Let's manage it for them. Let's use the strategies that I built my brand, that I've helped consult so many different businesses and people with. Let's use that and do it for them and do it better than everybody else. And it took a good 2 months to set everything up and create the infrastructure for that to happen. And let me just tell you, the best thing that could have happened was that. Because everything in ASPF Solutions now is geared around that, and we are just killing it for clients because we're doing it for them, and we don't have to we don't have to give it to them and just throw our hands up and hope. Now we can make it happen. So one of the things too that I felt like would be really important to add to this log was the idea that I've pushed for the past probably 1.5 to 2 years was omnipresence is crucial across all platforms. And that's something that I've consulted to so many different businesses, and I've helped kind of create the framework for that. But now, again, realizing that my biggest platform was gone in an instant. And so I had to rely, in terms of a social media presence and just get my brand out there, I had to rely on all the other platforms because one was just gone out of my control. And with that, again, came a lot of wisdom of realizing the actual validity behind omnipresence. And so if you can start positioning your brand in every other platform and not, pouring too heavy into just one, expecting that your audience only lives there or whatever your subjective opinion is of marketing, and you feel like this is where where your audience is and your target, remember, things like this can happen to anybody. Another really important key fact here is, and something else that I've said many, many times, but again, becomes even more realized now once you become a practitioner of this whole thing, is realizing how pivoting is easier and more efficient than just simply manufacturing out of thin air. And so I've talked a lot about this in terms of branding and creating content. And once you've facilitated a brand that matters and you have the foundation of all the pillars and everything that really counts to people, it's easier then to pivot as opposed to constantly feeling you're in this spot of having to manufacture something out of thin air every single time. And again, one of the things that I really learned was I was in a space when this happened that I had to learn how to pivot quickly, right? There was no manufacturing in thin air. This was a matter of pivoting and adapting. And I think that's usually more efficient because the real gold mine is after that happens. Because manufacturing takes a lot longer, and depending what it is that you're creating out of thin air, it will absolutely make a difference. My point being here was my experience. Pivoting is usually easier, so keep putting yourselves in positions where you're constantly building, and the second something goes wrong, you pivot, right? It's not necessarily that once something goes wrong, you have to drop everything and start over again. It's a matter of pivoting and adapting. Hey Valerie, how are you? This is Anthony. What we can do is we can create 30 days worth of content, kind of month over month, within 7 days. You know, informative, entertaining, creative posts that, number one, induce interaction, of course, but also is putting out output in a place that can actually allow your brand to build over time. Okay, so we just got to the podcast studio in New York City that we're going to be using for in-person guests. Before we go up there, I'm going to show you guys some really cool footage of everything, how it looks, but I wanted to preface everything with this. So in the interim period, while I lost all the Instagram, what I did was I really facilitated a really cool upgrade of a lot of the editing and all of the consumer experiences to go into the Anthony Sabatino show. So I want to just quickly tell you about it right now, and then we're going to go up to see the video, to see the podcast studio. So the first thing we're gonna do, I had Lil Browse, who we're gonna tag here. He's also the rapper who made the great song that's in the YouTube intro that you saw in the beginning of this video.
Had to go against the grain to do my own thing.
He's making an intro and an outro hook that I'm gonna play over a really cool promo intro video. So when you click on the podcast, it's gonna actually show you the intro video that's gonna welcome you into the podcast video. Then you're gonna see it, you're gonna watch a great podcast, 40, 45 minutes, as long as it is for each guest. And then what's gonna happen is I'm having an animation done of me doing really cool podcast things, and we're gonna have the podcast animation look really awesome. And then the podcast hook at the end, Lil Browse is gonna play over on top of the animation. So we're having that all done, and we're also gonna be using an in-person studio as well. So there's a lot of cool things that I've created as the infrastructure of the Anthony Sabatino show over the past 2 months. So I'm really excited to show you guys all of it right now.
Yeah. Coming live from home base, tune in for the hot takes. Gotta do it big when you bring up big names. Brand new every Saturday, show you what you need to know. This is the Anthony Sabatino Show.
Okay, so we just took a quick look at the podcast studio that we're going to be using. We didn't get a chance to go inside the actual studio room, so I'm sorry I couldn't show you that footage. There are currently other guests being filmed in there. However, we're really excited to start using this space. There's going to be a lot that goes into it, as well as the in-person consumer experience when we have in-person guests here in the city. So I just want to let you guys know this is the spot that we're going to be using. I'm happy to show you guys some more actual in-studio footage a little bit later, but that's what we got for now. All right, guys, so this wraps up vlog number 7. If there's one thing I want you guys to learn from everything that we've kind of talked about in this vlog through my conversations with other people, the lessons that I learned, as well as kind of showing you all the things that I facilitated over the past 2 months to create a lot of these upgrades and what we're doing now in business. You know, there's so many different things that have gone dramatically up in improvement through this curse that many people thought. So it was in a lot of ways, this was a blessing. And I think that's the goal of it all. When this first happened, my first intention was looking at that email that I got saying that my Instagram was down, was I want this to be a scenario where I can say thank you instead of be sad. And I'm very happy and proud to say that that is the case. So I wanted to basically just say thank you so much for watching. This is vlog number 7. We have a lot more to come, and there's a lot more stuff to work through in this business. Thank you so much for watching.